bar or so.
So that leads me very neatly on to the next wee phase of conversation. Composing by you,
Yep.
notes in my head. What was that about?
Oh God! So we have to rewind all the way back to the age of 9 here. I started composing when I was 9. And the first couple of tunes, I mean, I probably still have got them up the attic somewhere, up the loft somewhere, scribbled out on bits of paper. But the first couple of tunes I wrote, I remember doing it actually. My dad used to drive long distance, right? So he had to go into work, I think one Saturday or Sunday. I used to go with him on the odd occasion during the summer holidays and school holidays and things like that, in the lorry, which is great crack. I enjoyed that. Anyway, I had went along with him to his work this day because he was going to load it was car transporter. He was going to load the transporter ready for setting off early doors on the Monday morning or the Sunday night or something like that. So anyway, obviously it's a working yard. I had to sit in the office all day because, you know, you're not going to wait, it's health and safety nightmare. So sat in the office. So we're there for a few hours, and obviously 9-year-old kid started to get bored. So I thought to myself, what can I do here? I don't know. I'll try writing some tunes. So I think we were there maybe 3 or 4 hours, and by the end of that 3 or 4 hours I had a 2-4 march, I had a 2-party suspe and I had a 2-party reel. And the march, couldn't tell you how it went, and the reel I have no idea how it went, but the Strathspey actually made it onto my first CD.
Good.
And into my first published collection. So that was when it started, and obviously I don't know whatever. I don't really know. I mean, I know obviously all about music theory. At that point I didn't, however, right? Because that was another aspect of learning when I was a kid. The theory aspect of things wasn't a big consideration. You know, we were taught this is a longer note. If it's got a tail, you cut it. If it's got a dot, you make it longer. But that was a bit as far as the theory went at pipe band. John Matheson, however, he was obviously ex-army, big on the whole theory thing, and tried to instill that into us when we were young. He'd have been as well talking to a brick wall because we couldn't see the value of it. So anyway, at that point in time when I was that age, I could have handed you that music and it would have looked like utter nonsense. It made sense to me because I was the one that wrote it. So anyway, as things developed and things like that, I don't know what started or what kind of, but obviously I had flicked the switch somewhere, so the ideas started sort of forming inside my head. I used to listen to a lot of piping back at that time as well, you know, winning CDs and cassette tapes from playing in the junior contests and things like that, and getting to hear great players. Like, I think I played Roddy McLeod's Greatest Pipers CD to death, to the point where it wouldn't work anymore. Listening to the pipes and all that, and the playing and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, the composing thing started back then, and by the time I had reached 16, I think I maybe had like a couple of 100 tunes. Now, you know, there was probably a lot of dross in there, right? A lot of nonsense. But I had all this stuff that had come out of my head. I used to wake up during the night, actually, and write tunes. I'd be sound asleep, went to my bed, and for whatever reason, wake up during the night. This tune's going through my head. For the minute I opened my eyes, had to get up, scribble it out, and then go back to bed, go back to sleep again. So just nonsense stuff, crazy stuff like that. So anyway, when I was 16, so that the music thing and the composing kind of leads into the CD thing and all that stuff as well. When I was 16, my dad took me to a workshop, traditional music workshop in East Kilbride that was being hosted by Donald Shaw, Charlie McKerran, and from Capercaillie, and Fred Morrison. So they did this kind of thing, they played a bit and talked a bit and blah 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 blah, and during this workshop, at the end of it, they said, is there anybody who would like to give us a tune? Now my dad obviously knew that this was coming, and we had the pipes in the car, right?
Good.
So at that age though, I wouldn't have said boot it a goose, right? So I'm sitting next to my dad, and they've asked the question, and he's digging me. He's like, you better open your gub, you better open your mouth. We're not coming all the way here for for you to sit here and say nothing because you'll know open your gun. So anyway, eventually I puts my hand up. I say, can I play a couple of tunes? And so they're like, aye, what do you play? And I said, Highland pipes. So Fred's like, right, get your pipes and give us a couple of tunes. That's right. And he ran out to the car. So I went to the car back in, got the pipes out, cracked them up, tuned them away, and played a couple of my own tunes. And at the end of it, Fred obviously was like, what was that? Like, you know, blah, blah, blah. So that was where the whole recording thing started. That connection was made with Fred, and obviously Donald Shaw as well, who had played on my very first album, keys and accordion. So that was where that came from, and obviously that had been a product of the composing that had happened up to that time. And then the composing thing has always been there. What I've started to find though is, as I'm starting to get older, the ideas are getting a bit more sparse, and I think that's probably a result of other things, you know, just taking up that headspace.
So it's just it's a phase that you've gone through in your life, and you would like to keep going. Yeah,
I mean, I mentioned when you come in that I'm working on a new book, which I'm hoping to have released very soon. Actually, it's more or less at the final hurdle now. But what
will that book be called?
It's going to just be called The Collection.
Okay.
There's nothing particularly startlingly original about it, but it's going to be another digital book, an e-book like my last book was. So there'll be no paper copies of it made, which is, to be honest, a sign of the times, I think, Alan. You know, if you look at the music industry in general nowadays.
How will it be accessed?
So you'll be able to get it, like the book that I released back in 2012 is digital as well, and basically it's just a digital download. So it's you go onto like my website, go into the shop, you can order the book online, and then once the whole transactions went through and all that stuff, it then sends you a download link. You go to the download link, click the download,
and that's you.
Click, and it downloads onto your computer. But you can also browse these things on your phone, or an iPad, or whatever you like, you know.
Yeah.
And because it's just a PDF document. That's all it is.
That's good. That's and CDs. Did we mention that at all?
We just touched briefly on that. Yeah. Yeah. So from that workshop in East Kilbride, Fred then made sort of inquiries about getting a recording deal with KRL, who were doing a lot of trad music at that time. So the connection was made there, went and met with them, spoke to them, and got sorted out from there, and then just arranged a date, sorted out material out and sets and things like that, and went in and recorded the new album. Well, the first album, which was Notes in My Head. So that was how that whole thing came about. And then I think it was like a 3-album deal. So I had to do, under the terms of the contract, another 2 albums. So the second album was Quantum Leap, and then the third album was Extreme. And that was the last of the sort of 3 albums.
So what was the most successful out of 3, or were they all equally?
They're all pretty much. I think they're all pretty much of a muchness, really.
Yeah.
In terms of, see, I never really bothered keeping note of sales figures and things like that, because all the distribution and the sales was all done through KRL. And I would get, obviously, rundowns or breakdowns of stuff, but I never really bothered keeping any tabs on it, because it was never really about it was never really, do you know what, the whole recording thing for me was more about loving being in the studio and seeing your music take shape and evolve and become this big arrangement and stuff like that. That was where the fun was, or that's